Welcome, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. 10 Star Wars games every fan needs to play, according to Polygon, by Ben Kuchera. Star Wars is in a weird place in popular culture right now. Many fans have lost faith in the movies, while still holding on to hope for the world itself, thanks to more experimental shows like The Mandalorian and the ability to step inside your own adventure in Galaxy's Edge. That hope on a long enough timeline is always rewarded. A new Star Wars video game is around the corner, and although quality in Star Wars games can vary wildly from game to game, there are enough treasures out there to make the hunt worthwhile. Number 10. Star Wars Trilogy Arcade is not a good video game, but it's an effective video game, and for the time it was released, 1998, that was more than enough. Does anyone else remember the first time they encountered one of these cabinets in the wild? It was a life-changing moment, seeing a video game get a similar level of care to the movies in terms of image and sound reproduction. Number 9. Star Wars The Arcade release, 1983. The world was very different when the first arcade Star Wars game was released in 1983. Star Wars featured vector graphics that looked remarkably sharp and bright next to the standard arcade games of the time. You controlled your aiming with a flight yoke, making the whole thing feel like a cinematic event, not a dim shadow of the original movies. Number 8. Star Wars Dark Forces. 1995 Star Wars Dark Forces is often described as sort of an early Doom clone set in the Star Wars universe, but it's much more than that. Dark Forces introduced Kyle Katarn, who was like a new Coke version of Han Solo with force powers, who went on to become an important character in the new defunct expanded universe and games. The game ran on a custom engine created by LucasArts that allowed the developers to create levels with much more than one floor. The player character also had the ability to look up and down. This sounds basic now, but at the time, those technological achievements make Dark Forces feel like a much more real game than its competition. Number 7. Star Wars Racer Arcade. Opinions about Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace have thawed in the past few years, with fans embracing Ewan McGregor's turn as Obi-Wan Kenobi and even giving love to Jake Lloyd despite his challenges in bringing Anakin Skywalker to life. Regardless, the pod racing sequence in the film is still one of the best things the Star Wars series has ever produced. It was a brutal, violent, corrupt sport where racers tried to avoid dying on the way to the finish line. It was ripe for a video game adaptation. Number 6. Star Wars Republic Commando. Star Wars games tend to focus on specific vehicles that fans would love to drive or fly, or they provide a power fantasy where you get to become a force-wielding, lightsaber-swinging Jedi. That's the low-hanging fruit when it comes to Star Wars. That's not what Star Wars Republic Commando did. It's a squad-based first-person shooter where you played as a clone trooper fighting alongside 3 teammates in the elite Delta Squad, jumping from planet to planet to finish whatever fight was going on. Number 5. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. So many games have been inspired by Star Wars that actual Star Wars video games can almost seem like the snake eating its own tail. Everything starts to blend together into a blurry mess of saber duels and blazer bolts, which is why the recent Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was such a breath of fresh air. You might be playing as a rather forgettable hero with a lightsaber, but the developers of Jedi Fallen Order focused on exploration, Crash Bandicoot-style platforming, and environmental puzzles over the act of cutting baddies in half with your saber, which isn't to say the combat is unsatisfying. Jedi Fallen Order has some of the best lightsaber battles I've ever played, but they're not the sole focus of the action. Number 4. Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2, Rogue Leader. Rogue Leader was a launch title for the GameCube in 2001, and it felt like the console Star Wars game so many of us had been waiting for. The game consisted of levels that mirrored events from the films, focusing on the vehicles-based conflicts, putting you behind the stick of many of the ships that fans have been dying to pilot since the original trilogy. Other missions fleshed out what it might feel like to be a pilot with a rebellion. Number 3. Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series. Vader Immortal has been the smallest splash out of any of the games on this list, which is a crying shame. That also makes perfect sense. You can only play Vader Immortal in VR, and it was released episodically, Both of these decisions meant that it was unlikely to become a mainstream hit. For those who did play it, though, holy moly, the experience begins in the cockpit of your ship, and soon you're experiencing a star-destroying flyby for yourself. You're a smuggler just trying to make a living, but you may have value to the Empire that you don't understand. Number 2, Star Wars TIE Fighter. Every Star Wars fan grew up wanting to fly an X-Wing so they could fight the Empire and blow up a Death Star or two. But who grew up wishing they could fly a TIE Fighter? The Empire's distinctive ships, which I gotta think would have been called H-Wings if they were on the rebel side, as fast, low on armor, and meant to be flown at the enemy in swarms. Being a TIE Fighter pilot meant that you were little more than a bullet to be fired from a gun, and you were all but expected to die in battle. It's not a place where many pilots find glory. Number 1, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Was there ever any doubt? Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic features a story that takes place thousands of years before the films involving the Mandalorian Wars, the return of the Sith as a galactic power, and the Jedi's desperate attempt to fight back, all leading up to one of the best twists in gaming history. The characters are memorable and endlessly quotable, and many even stretch the limits of what we were used to from the Star Wars at that time. An assassin droid that was oddly lovable, a Jedi who rejected the dichotomy of light and dark side, story-based decisions that test what you think you know about how you would operate in the universe of Star Wars. It was all there, complete with a turn-based combat style system that rewarded players who were willing to dig and get strategic during battles. Hope you enjoyed this. Please hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think in the comment sections, and we'll see you next time.